Come see us on tour in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Dallas, Texas, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you saw the famous Whitney Cummings was on the New Year's Eve show on CNN, and let me just show you what she said.
2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Are we still rolling? Am I off?
Go for it.
It was amazing that the pro-choice party didn't give their voters one when it came to the presidential candidate. Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one's. Oh, God. Andy just gave me a very scary look.
No!
I love going around the country because you see that Americans really are more reasonable than they would be portrayed.
Absolutely.
They're pretty great. And I'm playing bigger and bigger venues now. I thought being a mom would mean that less people would want to come see me. I'm now playing, like 3,000 seat theaters,
awesome.
which is about the viewership of CNN these days.
Well,
Not
nice.
this show, though.
Nice.
All eyes are on this show.
Wow, you're all firing.
Andy and I had a tour. We did like 3,000 people. Yes.
Yeah.
That shows the system is falling apart because she's defying the unwritten rules and tearing these assholes new assholes, which is not an easy thing to do to give an asshole another asshole. So
these two queens are covered in cat scratches right now.
So anyway, let's bring in Whitney Cummings is with us. Hi, Whitney. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jimmy. I'm such a huge fan. I'm literally zooming in with you just to get Kurt to stop texting me things about Alan Dulles in writing. This is what it came to.
Yo, you're on a list now. You could pretend you're in normal society.
I already get texts from Joe Rogan. I already am on a list.
You're under surveillance.
So
I was like, I'll literally go on the show live to stop getting texts from you.
Well, there was also a part of that you didn't get to that you shared on social media. You said, this is what I said at the end of my roast set on CNN tonight that I zoomed through because I was running out of time and scared. Since I only have a minute left and I'm live on the, do you want to read that or you want me to read it?
Don't make me read it.
I'll read it. She said, I figured I'd list some of the things mainstream media will never cover. The first Trump shooter didn't have any silverware in his house. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia put money into Disney. Why is fluoride still in our water? Monsanto paid Google to skew search results. Why are so many president chefs dead? Wow. That is...
I think I should get a check for $5 million for not saying Democratic chefs.
Ah!
Yeah. I didn't know it was multiple. I thought it was just the one.
See, I had this whole rant that was like, how come Obama's chef's mom's videos are off TikTok? Like, who drowns in 2 inches of water? Why wasn't he wearing clothes? Like, I had this whole rant, but I didn't want it. It was an interesting line. You guys are comics. You know more than anyone. I think that, like, finding that line to where, we all have to play defense right now because sometimes if you say something sane, you sound crazy,
Yes.
And there's stuff that's not even on the internet to back up what you're saying because it's been deleted. So if I were to say, like, what happened to, the Obama's chef's mom's videos, people would go, she's crazy. And I don't have to tell you guys, I'm sober now, but during the pandemic, I had purple hair and, weed was legal in California. So I also have to be careful that I can't be the ambassador for stuff like this. And people just go like, oh, she's a crazy bitch with blue hair,
Yeah. Okay. But now people came after you, of course. And there's a couple of different ways they came after you. The first one is, hey, why didn't you go after Trump? Right. And so you tweeted out for the dorks who are grumpy that I didn't roast Trump in the CNN set. I roasted Trump so long ago, I think in 2011 on Comedy Central. And to do that on CNN would be like shooting fish in a barrel, a home court advantage cheap shot. That's exactly right.
I was there for that.
You're 100% right about that. That's exactly right.
It'd be hacky. It would just be like preaching to a choir, which is what, I think a lot of these, networks already do. So there's nothing dangerous about roasting Trump. On Fox News, that's where you roast Trump because that's where it's dangerous.
That's right.
Right.
That's 100%. That's right.
I didn't want to get like a rally applause of like doing a safe Trump joke. Also there's nothing else to say about him. It's like people just tune out. It's so uninteresting. So I wanted to go to the place that there were the most eggshells and the thing that nobody said. There's nothing nobody said about Trump yet. What's the things people are scared to say and why? It was actually a wild experiment because like I was scared. And I was
Should be.
what am I scared of? Getting poisoned, getting
Yes.
shunned by a business that kind of is, has annihilated itself anyway, the Hollywood business. Am I worried that pedophiles won't hire me anymore? Like, what am I scared of?
No more Coppola.
Yeah, like I'm not going to get on, which by the way, I did have a joke that I don't have to tell you guys, years of hell gigs and corporate gigs, you got to really know how to choose your shots and not force something to kill the vibe. So it didn't make sense to say, but I did have, queued up, all eyes are on this show tonight, like, making fun of the ratings. But then, except this show, all eyes are on the show tonight, except when you guys mentioned balls dropping, all the producers from Nickelodeon shows stopped watching. It's like you got to have stuff loaded up that you may or may not use. I did put all of the political stuff at the end. It was initially at the beginning. But I think that was smarter to put it later. The Hunter Biden one, I had a lot of versions of that, because we've heard a lot. So I wanted to go a way that was somewhat original, as well. But if people are still defending Hunter Biden and defending someone who these networks have known was in a mental decline, you are not only not a Republican, not a Democrat, you're not a patriot at this point. It's not about Republican and Democrat. You're going to defend the fact that these people knew that someone with the most important job in the world had cognitive decline, and you're okay with hiding it? I mean, it's
well,
just,
Whitney, hold on. Sometimes when you work as an undercover intelligence asset, you have to knowingly lie. That's why they recruit you, and that's why Anderson does it. That's why that other dipshit, and they're all in on it. We just showed Colbert talking to Claire Danes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
he's forwarding over what she's saying.
And I'm not as smart as you guys about this. I'm not as educated as you about this. So I tried to only stay in lanes that I can actually speak to.
Yeah.
And I know that if you are allowing a cover up of cognitive decline of the leader of the free world, you're threatening not only lives of Republicans, but also Democrats, your own people. Everyone's going to die. But you know what I mean? You don't need to be pro-choice. Everyone's going to.
Yeah. I'm dumb and I get it.
The country's going to be aborted. Is that what you want?
But what a lot of people don't realize is that journalists, all the people at CNN, they see it as their duty to cover for the Democratic president. That's what they saw. They convinced themselves that they were fighting this existential threat, literal Hitler. That's what they convinced themselves of. So now I have to cover for Joe Biden. I have to cover for Kamala Harris. I have to cover for the Democrats. And exactly that's the opposite. And that's why nobody trusts them or watches them anymore. That's why that joke was so fantastic. And there are more people watching this show than are watching CNN. And so that's what, it's a mask off moment for them. And now they have to finally admit after that debate that, you know what? The Wall Street Journal just put out an article a week or two ago. Yeah, we knew he was demented since day one. Yeah, well, we've been saying that on this fucking show since the debate he had in 2020 that he was demented. We knew it, and we didn't stop saying it, and we caught a lot of shit for it, but now we're proven right.
16-year-old or something? I mean, wasn't there something where he was like creepy with a girl?
His daughter.
Was showering with his own daughter until she's 15, which is in her diary, which is confirmed to be her diary.
Yes, it's in her diary.
He's environmental. He's saving water.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I assume most politicians are creeps. It's just we're at a point where it's like, look, I grew up in DC. I grew up like, Clinton, and Monica. We let a lot slide. And this is just too much to let slide, And I think that for me, I just was like, okay, let me just take an opportunity to say some things. I have a kid now. I'm sort of thinking in different ways. I'm, sober. I'm just thinking more clearly. I'm just going like, what do I care about? What do I want to say that would matter? We're comics. We say a lot of stuff that doesn't matter. At least I do. You guys don't on your show. But, I think that it is ridiculous that pharmaceuticals are allowed to advertise on our television.
Yeah.
Yes.
Criminal.
On CNN, as a matter of fact.
I'm not an expert. I'm not someone who should weigh in on that in a serious way.
But that's why it hurt him.
But Whitney, let me ask you: Aren't you? I'm gobsmacked at the lack of people in comedy that I know in Hollywood that don't make those jokes that you made. Aren't you amazed what a huge lane there was for you to do those jokes and make fun of the fact that Pfizer is sponsoring the news and they can't offend their advertiser, their money man? What do you make of that?
A couple things. I think a lot of a lot of comedians, we come off very brave. What we do is incredibly terrifying, but it also comes from a place of insecurity, of fear of not being seen or loved or getting attention or adrenaline or whatever. So we're fearless in some ways, but the upside to doing what I did on New Year's Eve, it's not that big, and the chances of it going well were very small. You know, you have to, and you guys have done it, the hell gigs, the road gigs. I've been doing this for 20 years. I mean, I did the Donald Trump roast. That was in 2011. Joan Rivers was, I think, 2009 or something. You know, it was, and there was no audience. And it was, I couldn't hear them. They could hear me, but the umbrellas made it weird. It was live. Yeah. It's just kind of like, it's very unusual that you get that kind of shot. And I kind of was like, I'm uniquely qualified to do this. I uniquely have nothing to lose right now. I uniquely just had a kid and think it's, you know, borderline irresponsible to go on a network like CNN and just be like, so I have a kid now, joke, meaningless joke. There's enough of that. And I just was like, you know, those moments where you're kind of like, look, I'm not special. You know, my self-esteem isn't through the roof, but you just go like, this is a moment in time. And also, I'm someone who I think is able to go back and forth between shows like yours, thankfully, and then also mainstream shows. There's not a lot of people. Like, remember, like, people like, you know, Nate Bargatze, you know, can do it now. But, like, you know, Segura and Bert Kreischer, like, I want, like, 6 years ago, tried to get them on Ellen back when that was made, you know, before.
You knew.
Oh, like, yeah, before, when it helped, not to go on because you love Ellen or, you know, you just want to see the Island set in person. It's more that it helped them. It used to help sell tickets. So anything to help them sell tickets, we're comics. We're going to do what we have to do, you know, and they wouldn't let them on. There was like this bifurcation of you were either a YouTube comic or you played the game and you were in the industry. I can kind of do both. So I was like, I have the opportunity to do this. How about I do something to show mainstream media that what they're doing is not working anymore and show them the reaction of how many people do want to know the truth, even if it's inconvenient, that don't want pharmaceuticals paying their journalists. Like there's no market for that anymore. And so I think more comics don't do it because it's very rare that you get that opportunity. And why make a big mess if, you know, the feedback has been like overwhelming, but I'm a female comic. I get hate so much all the time. I was like, I can handle it.
You got my email?
I mean, I was like, I can handle the negativity that comes my way, and I will be able to handle it if it goes sideways.
How did you feel at the Trump roast? Because I did warm up for that, and I remember it being a nightmare. The crowd doesn't pay attention.
Kurt, before we get to that, let's get to this. So here is the Daily Beast came after you for that set. And of course, the Daily Beast, which is a CIA infiltrated asset, and there's no doubt about that. And I'll show you the proof in a second. But they did it. They called you a conspiracy field. They said comedians' wild conspiracy theory filled roast.
Wild.
Shock CNN host during. And so all that. And so I read the article, and this is the only part that they even talk about the conspiracy. It says Cummings finished her set by firing off some wacky conspiracy theories. Of course, there was a moment for drones. Quote, I mean, they're still up there in the sky, so I guess we can rule out that they were made by Boeing, which is hilarious.
It's a joke.
Which is hilarious.
That's great.
As well as dubious shout-outs to Disney's funding, dead White House chefs, the Boy Scouts of America, and even Trump shooter Thomas Crook's allegedly missing silverware. And again, all that stuff, there are dead chefs. Obama's chef, we just talked, that's very suspicious.
Well, Clinton's chefs, one of Clinton's chef died on a hike or something.
And Obama's chef drowned in like 2 feet of water. Wasn't he naked? And the Boy Scouts
half
naked.
So half naked. Okay. Style. And shout outs to Disney's fund. I mean, this is such a reach and a lame attempt for them to try to discredit you. And then you tweeted out, Daily Beast, what did I say? That's a conspiracy theory. I love that face that you gave him.
Look at Andy's face.
That's
this is like Colbert's scared face.
That's such a win.
Was I wrong? Did I take the bait? Is that exactly what they want for me?
No, they did not want, Whitney, the fact that you're like, I don't know about all this stuff. So that's damaging. It means regular people can notice something's wrong.
Yes.
People that don't follow the stuff. So no, it's actually like I would get a food taster if I were you. And some kind of like, because it's so damaging to them when somebody who's not in the realm of talking about that just notices things that are true, like the emperor has no clothes kind of things. That's the most damage. You know, I didn't think I could like anything better than Kathy Griffin trying to fake blow Anderson and him going ee at New Year's, but I think this is better.
But I guess also, if you're going to be a legitimate news organization, which, by the way, I'm flattered that they don't like me. I mean, if they did like me, that's probably when I would worry, right? But why not do a piece going, here's all the reasons Whitney said what she said. Here's the evidence for it. Why not just do a little
it doesn't hold up because it falls apart.
Journalism and prove me wrong. And did you see who wrote it? Jimmy, did you see who it's written by? You have to look who it's written by. Go to the writer. Look.
Grace Harrington?
Who is that?
Look at her job.
Breaking news intern.
They got their crack. Now, Whitney, keep in mind, she didn't make the headline. They never write the headline.
So they have the editor.
The CIA gives it to the editor, and they decide. Because nobody reads Daily Beast, especially people that subscribe to Daily Beast. They look at a headline that was algorithmically sent to their iPhone that they just see first. That's it.
And they're using conspiracy theory because more people will get to it if they have the word conspiracy theory in it. But they also could have gone, some people think there were conspiracy theories in Whitney's roast. Here's why they're not. But again, honestly, it is what it is. And I probably shouldn't have taken the bait to highlight that. But I think we're at a time where, you know, I'm not going to defend myself when people call me a cunt, whore, unfuckable, whatever. Like, that's fine. Unfunny, fine. But when you accuse someone of being a conspiracy theorist, it's a pretty amazing way to discredit curious people that ask questions. I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, please tell me if I'm wrong. I don't want to stay dumb. But to just call someone who's asking questions conspiracy theory, I think that's a really big epidemic that's going on right now, is this eye roll. If anyone
that's by design.
Yes.
They invented conspiracy theory
it's in the first line of my Wikipedia page. They call me a conspiracy theorist, and then they go on to mention things that I was right about. But they still call it conspiracies, right? Like the fake gas attacks in Syria, which the OPCW whistleblowers confirmed my reporting on that. Everything I've ever said about COVID, 100% correct. Everything about them. So they it
really just should be synonymous with visionary at this point.
Right.
You're a visionary.
Well, there's that saying now that conspiracy is more like a spoiler alert.
I like it.
Yeah. And so I'll here just to let you know where that's their flex at Daily Beast is to call anybody who goes against the establishment narrative a conspiracy theorist wacky. And here's RFK is going to tell you where they come from. Here, watch this.
There's a provision in the CIA charter that says that the CIA cannot propagandize the American people. President Obama adopted in 2016 that essentially reopened the door for Operation Mockingbird so that the CIA began once again to propagandize American people.
How are they doing that, President?
High-level intelligence officials or people associated with the intelligence industry are running those journals, like Noah Schlackman, who runs Rolling Stone, who came from Daily Beast. Daily Beast was run by John Avalon, who has deep ties to the intelligence agencies.
So there you go. Just wanted to let you know. Don't feel bad.
Something wild that I just remembered. So how do these people make all their money? I happen to know, I'm just not going to say the person's name for a million reasons, that someone paid off the Daily Beast to not run a story that would have been a pretty wild takedown of someone in Hollywood, paid them a ton of money to not run it.
I already know who it is.
Okay.
I'm not saying either.
Don't keep me involved, but a tremendous amount of money. So they go, okay, we'll take your money and we won't do good journal. We'll take money to not do good journalism instead of actually, so, and then the New York Times, I think, they took a bunch of money to not publish something too. So if you have money and they actually are going to do a takedown on you, some journalism that would be valuable, if you just pay them off, they'll take the money. So
the court of public opinion is corrupt, and you can pay off the jurors and the the judge and everything.
Hey, I'm not going to
like dorks.
I'm not
what
saying
are they
anything.
Getting out of this? Sorry.
No, I'm not going to say anything either because I would like to be in a Tom Hanks movie, and I'm not saying.
What else did they say about Oprah?
It's something. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, those I don't know enough about a lot of that. Here's the thing: people with me, they're always like, "You must have gone to the Diddy parties, and you must know." snitches don't get invited. You know, Kurt, did I ever tell you that I tried to get into Scientology and they didn't let me?
No.
I know. Didn't you go? Modi told me you had a Kabbalah meeting and you go, I don't know what this is, but it looks too expensive for me.
It was what I did. So I did that show Punked when I first moved to LA, 2003. I got After Scale. I had like literally made $400 a month. And Ashton Kutcher was married to Demi Moore. They invited me and I'm sitting in the circle. It's like Cameron Diaz. And I just was like, I know I cannot afford whatever the fuck this is.
You dodge a bullet.
A red string bracelet, can't afford it. But I did when I first moved to LA. A friend of mine was getting like courted for it. And they would basically go after people who were about to get really famous because there was such a machine where if you were in a movie and you got this publicist and you got this manager, you were gonna be a star. The machine was just working for you. And a friend of mine invites me to brunch with her, and she was just given an address by an actress who is a Scientologist known, Helena Christensen. And we get there. We pull up to this castle, you know it, Kurt, on Franklin. And I'm just moved to LA. I'm like a hillbilly white trash bitch. And I'm like, this is Hollywood. Because you go to Hollywood and you're like, this is a shithole. Like I came to Hollywood, baby. Like the glitz and there's like homeless people shitting on the Walk of Fame. I was like, I get to the Scientology castle and I'm like, this is what I thought Hollywood was. I'm in. Whatever this is, fucking sign me up. I go to the brunch. There's this huge brunch. The guys from famous people, Giovanni Ribisi's there. The guy from Lost is there. I'm like, this is what how do I sign up? My friend's like, we got to get out of here. I was like, no, I live here now. I'll take the test. I'll see the aliens. Whose dick do I need to suck? Danny Masterson can rate me. I won't say no, or I'll say no if that's what he wants.
Did you put that in writing? That's not okay.
And they would not let me in. And because I have snitch energy, we're comics. We're not.
They profile you. You got to show you're cool. The Diddy party, you're not really into chicks, so you weren't going to be invited to the cool part of that.
I grew up in an alcoholic home where you had to say what the elephant was in the living room. I can't keep secrets. I can't walk on eggshells. And this is something that I was thinking about doing on the roast of going like, this is like like there was always a house on the street that was that you saw the screaming and the fighting, and now every house is that. It feels like 25. Like everyone is this is starting to break. And I think it's actually exciting. And what you guys do is a really big part of it.
How did somebody say anything to you afterwards? How did the two hosts, Anderson and respond to you at the commercial break?
I got to give them props. Like I think Anderson, I don't know him very well, but he also they drank, so I did go on a little bit later and we were in umbrellas. So I'm unclear how much they did hear. I would throw stuff to them. I was like trying to kind of get reactions from them, but I was like plowing through it. Like people think I'm on like Adderall or something, but I was like, I just got to blow through this as quickly as possible. I think I said Chuck Schumer instead of the Trump shooter. So people think I said Chuck Schumer doesn't have any silverware in his house, and I was like,
he'll catch fire. He can't touch it.
That's a weird conspiracy theory, is my guess. But I just went as quickly as possible. I was trying to just I could sort of feel energy of them,
Yeah.
They didn't sign up for this, right? I mean, before that, they were doing quizzes about Mudang, the hippo. They're talking about Wicked. Like it felt like
they deserve it so much. It's great what you did. They deserve.
They deserve it 100%. And but by the way, the American people deserve to see someone say that on CNN. And so you performed a great service.
And go for it. Just say it. I just got sick of being scared. I got exhausted about biting my tongue, and I just again, even if I'm wrong, I'm like, why don't I throw something out there and I'll correct it later if I'm wrong, but I can't keep just being scared of this. What even is it?
Good for you.
Canceled? That's not even a thing. I don't even know I think the only thing scarier than censorship is self-censorship.
Wow. Well said.
I'm self-censoring and I'm complaining about censorship and it's all in here, So I kind of was like, how dare I complain about censorship if I'm the one censoring myself?
Well,
By the way,
I during COVID, just to talk a little inside comedy, it broke my heart when we went back into the clubs and I would see comedians shame people for doing your own research, which means don't question authority, which is the exact opposite of doing comedy. If you're a comedian and you're telling people don't do your own research, you're telling them not to read, because that's all doing your own research means is you're fucking reading. And it just broke my heart, and a lot of comedians let me down. And so it just was so heartening to see you do what you did, and it was like me getting my faith back into comedy, and I get to cheer on a comedian standing up to the establishment. It really, maybe I make too much out of it, but it means a lot to me.
It's just being a comic, but people don't do it when they get in that situation. It's literally just what you should do.
Yes,
like guess who drops the ball? Most people.
That's correct, Kurt. I don't think I should get points for it, and it's sad that I'm getting points for this, and it's sad that more people don't do it, but I know how that scary feeling it is, and I know how easy it is to not do it. It's so much easier to
I want a Jeselnik to see it. That's all.
Oh, he said if you talk about conspiracy theorists, you're just trying to get a new audience. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't, what? You mean,
first of all, I'm always wanting a new audience.
People? Why not? People that connect with comedy fans, like what?
I also don't care if I alienate the ones I have now because I say what I want. I just take who I get.
If your fan base isn't changing, you're not growing as a comic.
Oh, well, so put that on a t-shirt. Yeah. And I love people. I get the criticism of, oh, you're doing clickbait. No, clickbait. I'm putting a headline on a video to try to catch people's attention. But when you click on that video, it's full of substance. Clickbait is when it's empty and there isn't anything in there.
By the way, you know what? Yes, I am. Guilty as charged. I want people to click on this. Guilty as charged.
That's right.
When a movie comes out, you're not like, you guys are putting posters up. You're poster baiting people. Yeah, you want people to see it.
You just want people to hear what you're saying.
I do. I do. Yeah, I don't want to yell in a basement like Mark Maron in a garage. Yeah, I want people to see what I'm doing. I do, by the way, to your do your own research thing. I started doing this little thing on TikTok that's like, because you get kicked off TikTok.
We just got kicked off yesterday. They canceled our TikTok channel yesterday. So we're doing something.
Yeah, I had this 9/11. This guy who's in the military talked about 9/11, and it was taken down a couple times. It's on Twitter now. But I started doing this thing of like doing my own research, and I was like literally at the point where when I was in New York, I was feeding the pigeons. So I was like, drone or not drone? If they're eating, they're probably real. Feed all the birds around you to see if they're cameras. That's how you do your own research. Real pigeon, pigeon.
I wait for them to shit to know if they're real.
So let me say this one last. So the last time I got excited about a comedian on CNN was I was sick. I don't know what year it was, 2018. And for New Year's, I had a flu, so I stayed home. And I was watching, that's when Kathy Griffin was still on, I think. And she turns to Anderson and she said, do you have any New Year's resolutions? And he says, yeah, well, I guess I should, spend more time in the gym and hit the treadmill. And she goes, that's really interesting. Most journalists would say, maybe I should learn a foreign language or learn about this culture. You're all about getting your abs. How does that make you a better? And it was like, she didn't realize what she had done, but she really blew the roof off of what CNN really is. It's just pretty boys talking into a camera. He's not a real journalist. He's thinking about his abs. He's not thinking about becoming a better journalist. And I thought that was the best work she'd ever done on there. And this tops that. This was better.
And honestly, I must say, like, Anderson, because I was in this place of, I have nothing but respect for him. We come from very different places. He's a Vanderbilt. I had a bunch of jokes about that. I was like, what? I don't need to go after Anderson here. But right before I went on, he said that his favorite book of the year, or a book that he loved this year, was the biography of Bill Gates. And I was like, no.
Are you kidding?
I had to bite my tongue so hard. I wanted to be like, oh, did he talk in the book at all about how he bought apple cider vinegar? He bought Bragg's apple cider vinegar so that he could put his appeal schmegma that he puts on apples into the apple cider vinegar. Like I had, oh God.
Did he dish on Epstein Island at all?
Yeah, is there a chapter on that? I mean, it was like, this guy, I had this theory. I know it's ridiculous, but the fact that like he didn't create Apple, Steve Jobs did. Now he has to own like apples. Like no, that's his thing. Is apples. He puts a coating on apple. I'm like, he's obsessed. And then he bought apple cider vinegar. He can't stop.
I just think it's amazing that when I hear people say like Bill Gates is some kind of do-gooder instead of what he actually is he's a monopolist and a megalomaniac who wants to control everything.
Did you see when he said we shouldn't plant trees? And
yes. Yes.
I don't even think a lizard would say that. I don't even think he's a lizard person because lizards like trees.
Are we the science people or not? The science says that you plant trees, it eats carbon. That's the whole point of that.
But also, science is fashion. Science gets debunked every 5 or 6 years. Remember when soy milk was good for us?
Yes.
Now half of my girlfriend's tits got cut off and half my guy friends have tits. I mean, that was just a...
Well, that just sounds like a good economy that is supply and demand.
But I did on my podcast this thing where I volunteered to jump on the grenade and suck Bill Gates's dick and be his Lauren Sanchez so that he'll stop making diseases. And
that's not enough.
I was like, because Jeff Bezos kind of chilled once he started getting someone, And so I was like, I volunteer as tribute to be.
You think you're the first to make that offer to Bill Gates? He's locked.
Really? He's probably not even.
Well,
I'll dress up as a mosquito.
Epstein Island, you understand?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm 30 years too old.
Yeah, I mean, I try to tell people, when the devil comes, he's not going to have horns and a pitchfork. He's going to be wearing glasses and a crew neck sweater, and that's what we're living. And they go, "What? No, he's just trying to help people with vaccines." Okay, that's right.
I knew this would happen. I called it. The world fell apart as soon as we stopped bullying the nerds.
That's what Oppenheimer was about. How you got bullied nerds.
Left them in lockers where they fucking belonged. We were right.
No, because they can't understand human emotion, so they just get technocratic, real hardcore, and they have no. It's like the people who SWAT. That's the ultimate nerd mentality that you could
Jimmy,
SWAT
there's
someone.
One thing I know you. I'll go. You said something about earlier comics that came after comics, and they're to me that's a special kind of snitch. That's a special kind of nastiness. And Ari Shaffir said something on Rogan once where he said, Ari of all people, we really saw who people were when he did that Kobe tweet and stuff like that. And he said, comics, it's your job to hold the line. And that's really kind of what I stick to whenever stuff like this happens. It is our job to hold the line. If you're not brave enough to be one of the ones in the front, that's totally fine. But get out of our way if that's what we're doing.
Why you want to stage if you're not brave enough? This is the whole thing. It's just the job. The job is to be the one that's not going with the thing and alone, not an improv group, not yes and.
Yeah.
Refusing. That's the job.
But by the way, there's always going to be mediocre people in every job. There's always going to be the braver ones. You wouldn't be you if they weren't them. Fine. I think that there's obviously echelons within comedy, and we don't even need to deal with the people that aren't brave enough to do what we do. I think it's just a matter of just get out of the way, and the ones that are holding the line, we got to all just kind of stick together, and we're the ones that get put up front. The way that wolves move, the wolf packs. They put certain ones up front, certain ones, in the middle.
I didn't know that.
And one in the back. It's really fascinating the way that they move. So I just think that they serve a purpose too. The people at UCB need to laugh. They fine. You guys can have them. Go be the dorks. We don't even have to acknowledge the dorks. It's
well, I just can't take it when I see comedians reinforcing the status quo instead of finding the hole and poking their finger through it. That's what they're supposed to do. You're not. We have corporate media to prop up the establishment. I don't need you to do that, and I don't certainly
lazy.
And need you shitting. It's just a lot of it's had to do with Trump, and it just wrecked a lot of people. And there's very little.
The time I really broke. It was a couple months ago because I was always like, let me stay out of politics. Jimmy does that. Kurt does that. Bill Maher does it. It's not I just don't want to speak on shit I'm not an expert on. But I am an expert on hypocrisy. So that's when I started being able to say something, is when I posted about Tim Walz and the fact that I found out that he had gone to China.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over 30 times. And I did a whole section on it on my podcast, posted about it. I had to take it down. People were calling me racist. People were I was like, why, he did go with boys. I can make that joke.
Is that racist?
You know what I mean? Yeah. And he went to first of all, how does a teacher even afford to go 30 times to, why did he get fired? Why can no one answer any of these questions? And why am I a monster if I just ask them? And it's weird. And even if he should at least be able to say, yes, I went to China 30 times, so I am uniquely qualified to be able to fight our adversary, China. Like, at least...
Including his honeymoon, and him and his wife stayed in separate rooms down the hall from each other because they had an uneven number of students, so they couldn't spend the night together on their honeymoon.
Why am I in trouble? I'm not the one that went to China 30 times. You know how hard it is to go to China 30 times?
Very hard.
I mean, that's your full job.
Not even Hunter, I think. I don't even think Hunter went.
So I got and when I would ask people about it, they'd be like, yeah, and it was just like, you don't even want to ask this question. You don't even want to know the answer. That's scary to me.
It's like conspiracy. Again, conspiracies are things that happen before the crimes.
Yeah.
Once the crime's done, it's not a conspiracy. It's done.
Yeah.
So like,
I've been to China. 24 hours. I was good. I was like, we're good. I went for 24 hours, and that was, there's nothing to do. What do we do? At least make it your strength and go, I know how to deal with them. They're doing a lot of shady stuff right now. Here's who you can trust, and here's who you can't trust. Like, it just felt really odd to me, because if he had done that, I'd be like, I'm listening.
Yeah, right.
I'm listening. If someone's like, I understand our number one adversary inside and out, and I'm going to bring production back to America on this and this and this. This is how they get us. Right. They've got the bot farms, whatever it is. But he just pretended like it wasn't happening.
Because guess what? They're not our adversary. They make our shoes and viruses and phones. I don't know why they're calling them our adversary. We're back over there making more viruses. Yes. So apparently we're cool with them. But they keep pushing this idea that there's a war because there's no such thing as borders. It's just companies and alliances and what have you.
They have to find a reason to keep funneling money upward into the military-industrial complex, and now they're sending money and stuff to Taiwan to fight against China. It's just the same thing with Ukraine, same thing with Iraq, Syria, Libya. It's the same story over and over, and they keep falling for it left and right. It's just amazing to me. But Whitney,
I know more about this than me, but nothing sent chills down my spine like Michael Cena apologizing.
For what?
Yes.
Because he acknowledged that Taiwan existed.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. John Cena, not Michael Cena.
John Cena. What did I say? Michael? Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I've been kicked out of Hollywood. I was kicked out of Hollywood 24 hours ago. I don't know anything.
Yeah. We does a lot of business there.
Wild. Anyway, you guys are the best. Let me not get in the way of your awesome show.
I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks. It's great to have fun down at the mothership, and I hope
come by, Kurt. I better see you while I'm here.
I have a spot tonight, so I have to go by. I'm there doing someone nice.
Okay.
All right. I'm at the condo.
All right, everybody. What's your website? WhitneyCummings.com.
What? Did I just give my location like a maniac?
Nobody knows where the
so.
condo is.
Just WhitneyCummings.com.
Okay, WhitneyCummings.com.
I'm on tour. Love you guys.
Love you. Thank you so much. Come see us on tour in Los Angeles, Honolulu, Dallas, Texas, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only there.